How can creators like us, who are new to building online businesses, who have high value skill sets, how do we scale our monthly recurring revenue, or MMR, to get us the freedom we desire? That is the question, and this newsletter will give you the answers. Be sure to subscribe if these are the types of answers you seek. My name is Boise Gordon, and welcome to Boise Talks Business. The 10 sales lessons I learned on my journey from joblessness to a $2.5 million CEO in under 5 years. Part 1. Okay, that was a mouthful, but we're here. So I'll be honest, when I first wrote this out, I may or may not have gone a little overboard. I wrote about 2,758 words to be exact. I don't know why I said about. Only reason I know that is because Substack was down a little earlier today, so I had to finish typing this out over Word. And I looked at the bottom and I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is 9 pages long. It's 9 pages. All right. Like that's insane with no images. You know, I format stuff as I write, so it's fine. But that's insane. So what I decided to do is just split it in half. And I'll do kind of the intro and like maybe the first, 4 or 5. I want to keep these talks under 10. We'll try for 15 minutes today. So once again, sorry for the length. I'm new to this. I'm just happy and excited to share what I know with you guys. You know, if my story can help someone, then that's, kind of my motivating factor. So let's go ahead and dig in. We are at episode 4. That's pretty insane. When I started this, it was only supposed to be a newsletter, but a voice was ringing in the back of my head. Narrate your work. Make it a podcast. You know what I mean? Like, it was the voice of Russell Brunson. He was always echoing in the back of my head. I've been reading Expert Secrets for about a week now. And there was this part where he talks about podcasts and, why he uses them and his target audience. And those moments when you hear something that you should do, but you wish you never heard it. And this was that moment for me. So as he's talking about podcasts and his target audience, he starts listing out my target audience: intelligent online creators or online entrepreneurs with a high value skill set. That's who I want to attract, right? And a podcast is primarily where those type of people frequent. It's just how it is. So I tried to ignore it, but I couldn't. And here we are. As soon as I started writing the first newsletter, Substack enticed me to narrate it. And then from there, it was like, do you want to turn this into a podcast? It was like, okay. It was like click of a button. It was super easy. So thanks for all the support, everybody who's listened and will listen in the future. It always, makes me feel better to know that I'm actually helping people. And y'all's support definitely gives me that reassurance. So let's dig in. In today's episode, as the title suggested, I want to talk about my evolution through sales and the top 10 lessons I learned along the way. But before I get into that, I do want to quickly go over my credentials. If you want to know more, the first newsletter / podcast that I put out actually goes into more detail on it, but I'll just give you guys a quick synopsis. So I am a part of the college dropout class of 2018. Woohoo. If anybody in here is an alumni of that class, let me know. I love you guys. After I dropped out, I sold cable packages, both retail and door-to-door, for a year. I ended up getting fired from the job. I was a horrible employee. It was my first job ever. After that, I bounced around a little bit. About 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months after I got fired, I ended up bouncing back. And I got hired as a business-to-business account manager at a logistics company in January of 2020. So that was pretty awesome experience. It was my first corporate type of sales job. Prior to that, once again, I was doing business-to-consumer stuff. So business-to-business was kind of new to me. So here are some of the things I managed to accomplish while I was there. So I averaged 3 account closed per month over that span that I was there, with a record number of closes within a month of 11. It means I closed 11 accounts within a month. I was killing it. I grew monthly profit margins, or my monthly profit margins, from $10,000 to $45,000 over the last 5 months of 2020, which was the peak of COVID. It wasn't easy, but it definitely taught me the value of a niche and trying to target the right people and the messaging and the stuff I was advertising and how I was packaging the offer. And then, ended the first year with a little over $1.1 million in revenue brought into the company. Later on, or I guess at the end of that year, I got promoted to senior account manager, January of 2021. My 90-day average at the time of promotion was around $350,000 in monthly recurring revenue to start the year. And then I was facilitating 125 plus orders per month without any assistance. Well, it was very minimal. I'd say like maybe 80% of it was my responsibility. And then I got burnt out. So that workload was just too much for me to manage. And I ended up quitting my 6-figure job. From there, I took a vacation, went to Aruba actually. Got my stuff in order, just wanted to figure out what the next step was going to be, and decided to start my first company, April of 2021. So these are the first 4-month numbers. So month 1, we did $0 MRR, sorry. Month 2, we did 67K, 68K-ish MRR. The exact numbers are in the article if you choose to read them. Month 3, we did about 300K MRR. And then month 4, we did 414K MRR. We didn't scale our operations properly, so the numbers fell off a bit after this, but we did end the year with $1.4 million in revenue, which is about 8 months, with a profit margin of 14.9%, which is $212,000 profit. And we would end the fiscal year, the full fiscal year, so April to April of our first year in business, with $2.5 million in ARR. I'm going to stop here. This is already starting to get too long. Once again, as I was writing this, I was just like going, and I was in flow. And then after 20 minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of stuff. I was already at 2,000 words and I still had 3 more lessons left out of the 10. So, like I said, we're going to try to keep this to 10 minutes. So here are the top 10 lessons I learned. So the first lesson that I want to talk about is compounding. Lesson 1, compounding is real. It is a legit thing. This is something that gets overlooked in today's society. We're all about, hey, look at me, I'm the best. More and more people are becoming scared to suck at stuff. I sucked at sales when I first started. It was so bad that on my first day, I cried in the bathroom. Like I was like, I told my trainer, I was like, hey, like, his name was Daniel. I was like, hey, Daniel, can I use the bathroom real quick? Like, I had just gotten, pimp smacked for the whole day. And I get into the bathroom and I look in the mirror and I'm like, tear coming down my left eye. It's just like, oh my God. I start punching the air and then someone opens the door and I like quickly wipe my face and like, act like I'm washing my hands. But my face is wet. Whatever. It was pretty bad. But regardless of that mental hurdle, I kept selling. And I closed my first customer that second day, Then by the end of the week, I had made 4 sales. By the end of the month, I was making 2 to 3 sales per day. And I wasn't some gifted genius. I just refused to give up. And I've been that way since that moment. My compounding hasn't stopped. And just look at the growth at each phase of my journey. Once again, I went from selling retail, barely making ends meet, getting fired, kept working at it, got hired at a logistics company, worked there, brought in $1 million, started my own company, worked there, brought in 2.5 million. Like, it's scaling, it's a continuous process. So that proof alone is what gives me the confidence in what I'm doing, even when I have no clue what I'm doing. Compounding is a real thing. It is a key to life's algorithm. So just keep applying effort, and leverage that, whatever you want, just look to apply effort in that space, and over time it'll happen. It doesn't mean you're going to be guaranteed to win, but as long as you keep learning and keep getting better, like it'll happen. And you might fail today, but that doesn't mean you'll fail tomorrow. So that's the first lesson. Second lesson is going to be the CEO should always sell. I learned this the hard way. First time I scaled my logistics company, it was a mess. I was so ready to be an official CEO that I gave up sales to operate in a more executive management role. Now, this is a necessary move for CEOs to make. And even when you are a beginner CEO, you still have to handle the executive management, or well, not executive management, but business management. But not when you have less than 25 employees. It should not be your only job when you have less than 25 employees. You can't specialize that early. By giving up sales too early, we ended up losing business. I damaged the relationships with a lot of our customers, and I had to pay more salary to hire someone who wasn't as or hire people in sales who weren't as good as me in sales. You know what I mean? Like, I made my bread and butter up to that point in my career based on sales, and I gave it up because, I didn't really want to do it anymore. So no one will sell as good as the CEO, even when the CEO isn't good at sales. Now, I am a special case. I came from sales background, but I'll explain kind of more of this in lesson 4. But the CEO has the passion required to attract early adopters. A sales rep does not. A sales rep is going to have to treat it like a job. They're going to come in, they're going to be like, hey, what do I say? Cool, I'll say this. They're just trying to make their money. They're not really, not everybody's going to buy into the company like the person who founded it would. And that's something that I kind of had to learn the hard way. Along my entire journey, it was always a fight to get people to believe in the thing that I was doing and what we were trying to accomplish. And, for the most part, we got there, and, people did buy in, but not nearly as much as what I was buying in. This is my baby, right? So at the beginning of the venture, you want to attract the radical early adopters. And later, once your product and service is established, you can target a little bit closer to mid-market. Once again, like, my earliest customers were just fans of me. They didn't really care about my service or offering. Like, we weren't super differentiated from the rest of the market. It was just a matter of the relationship that I had built. So when I decided to take a step back, that removed the leverage that we did have as a differentiator, and we started getting compared. But we'll talk about that a little later. So having a CEO manager account stands out way more than a sales rep, period. So if your company is new, learn basic sales, inject loads of passion into the pitch, and manage the client relationship until you have a scalable infrastructure. Okay. I officially have lied about this being short. Once again, I'm not going to delete much of this, but yeah, this wasn't supposed to be this long. So once again, sorry. Maybe I'll go into lesson 4, and then we can do part 2 tomorrow. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, lesson 5 is pretty long. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do 2 more lessons. Lesson 3, never be impatient. In the beginning, nothing ruined my sales faster than being too fast. I was attempting to close everything on the first try. My pitches would start off great. I'd build rapport with the prospects and get them all giggly and comfortable. Then we'd start talking about their business and problems, and I'd get too excited. I'd cut to the chase and offer to help them. 9 times out of 10, I could literally hear the vibe change over the phone. No bueno, right? Like, you want this to be a complete conversation. Whenever you are selling to someone, you don't want them to feel like they're being sold to. Don't get me wrong, they know why they're on the call. They know why you called. You don't have to make it apparent, especially in an industry that is competitive like logistics. I didn't really have to tell them, hey, I'm trying to get your business. Like, they already knew, right? And the fact that I kind of started it off with such a different approach in trying to build a relationship, get to know them, see what's bothering them, not just about their business, but in their day. Sharing what I ate for lunch, it didn't matter. Like, it definitely helped. So once I became self-aware, which we'll talk about in lesson 8, I started to ignore the urge to sell. And then the calls would turn into them asking me about my services. Like, it'd be like, hey, Bob, this is blah, 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 blah. How are you? Da, 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 da. And then, like, later on, he'd be like, hey, like, I actually have to get back to work soon. What was it that you called about? And then we'd chat up about why I called. And then I'd tell them whatever they wanted to know. In a conversational tone, of course, you want to maintain that at all times. Then I'd ask if they wanted to meet with the team or if they had any orders they wanted to try us out on. Depends on how the conversation went. And sometimes they would even start pitching me as to why they should work with me or why it's a good idea. Just be patient and let the sale come to you. Don't rush it and mess up the opportunity. And if nothing presents itself early or, towards the end of the call, you can inject your spiel. Like, it's, I'm not saying don't ever bring it up, but, doing it too early definitely kills your chances and kills all momentum. So you don't want to waste your time by undoing all of the good work that you did. And lesson 4, sales is the science of relationships. This is a science through and through. The sooner I accepted it, the easier things got. I treated my pitch like a trial and each day like an experiment. I study the parts that performed better than others, my phrases, my tones, my numbers. What could I say to make this better? What worked? What changed the vibe? It's kind of in line with being a little more self-aware, but I took a more methodical approach to it. I became a mad scientist who always experimented with a secret formula. All I was trying to do was to achieve the most efficient route to building a legitimate relationship. I got logistics sales down to a 5-minute friend. When I was, selling cable and retailing door to door, I could make a 2-minute friend. My goal is always to speed up the process of going from stranger to friend in the fastest way possible. And with this method, I was able to close sales on the first call, even when a market was bare. So when there were downturns in the economy or something affected my industry, it didn't really matter. I was pretty much economy proof because of the way that I sold. I wasn't worried too much about my services. I was only worried about building the relationship. So what was the key to my fast success, my fast process building? Like I said, like most of these processes, getting it down to 5 minutes, getting it down to 2 minutes were done within 90 days. And the key was never making the same mistake twice. Variations of mistakes were always okay, but making the same mistake twice was a no-no. If you make the same mistake twice, you're wasting time. So what I'd suggest is if you make a mistake, study it, learn how to avoid it going forward, try again. If you make a variation of that same mistake, then it's okay. But if you can gain the discipline to avoid repeat mistakes, you'll dramatically shortcut your success. And honestly, I apply that same rule to most things in my life, which helps with adaptation and learning on the fly. Anyway, man, there's so much left. Oh, man. And this isn't even the good parts. I probably should have reorganized some of these. It's fine. Y'all will be all right. But if you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe. I appreciate you guys stopping by. And if you want me to, have a coffee chat with me, I'm always available for a quick meeting. It's going to be about business, of course. Make sure you have an online creator business that you're looking to grow, or else the conversation will just be me talking about nothing. And you can do that just by subscribing to this newsletter. All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for stopping in. Excited about episode 5. I already have everything written out, so I probably won't have too much work to do tomorrow. But I'll still try to get some writing in just because it's a habit at this point. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of y'all's day. Hope y'all have a good one.